Hi everyone, and welcome to our panel Breaking Barriers Using STEM as Global Citizens and their Role Implementing SDGs. So, hi, I'm Shirabe Mercado, and I am one of the executive directors for the International Youth Conference 7. I am a fellow activist and advocate for social and climate change. And well, I'm currently studying engineering and biotechnology, so I'm very immersed in the STEM topics and everything related to that. Just for saying some things. So for this session, well, this session is really important and really special to us because here we have the participation of one of our partners in this edition, which is the FJY sorry, which is um, the Journalists and Writers Foundation. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Is the JWF, and well, we're really happy to welcome them here. And just to have an introduction of our partners, well, the Journalists and Writers Foundation is associated with the United Nations Department of Global Communications, the UNDC, and this association constitutes JWF's commitments to disseminate information, raise public awareness about the goals and objectives of the United Nations within its networks of 36 global partners from 24 countries, and collaborate with relevant stakeholders to promote and implement the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So we thank them for their participation here. And well, we also have here some amazing panelists. But yes, just to have a brief of this session and just to tell our audience and participants what they should expect from this session. Well, mainly, we will emphasize the importance of the active participation of youth in STEM education. STEM, the acronym for science, technology, engineering, and maths, and innovation towards the achievement of the SDGs, including the current challenges and opportunities that they face towards the implementation of STEM focused solutions. So, this session will also focus and highlight the vital elements of youth acting as global citizens in relation to building a more inclusive, innovative, and sustainable future. So we welcome our panelists. We welcome um, um, Jemre, Jury, sorry, Oker, the U.S. Director and Representative of the JWF to the United Nations Department of Global Communications, Aisha Yildirim, Youth Advocate Pacifica Institute Youth Link, and Nilufer Sagat, Youth Advocate Pacifica Institute Youth Link, and Mehmet Kilik, President of the JWF. So for this, we will have 10 minutes topic remarks from our amazing panelists. So we will start out with Mrs. Olker, and you have the word here, and we welcome you to this panel.
Thank you so much, Shrabe, for the kind introduction, and greetings everyone from New York. Again, thank you so much to the directors of the International Youth Conference for having the Journalists and Writers Foundation here at this wonderful platform, as we are convening thousands of youth advocates from all around the world. And throughout these 2 days, this was the first day of IYC. As I saw in the agenda, there will be many fascinating discussions, exchange of ideas, an international networking opportunity within the participants of the 7th edition of International Youth Conference. And in front of us, we have this common agenda of youth empowerment through technology and innovation. So I'm a human rights advocate focusing on civil and political rights, women's rights, working towards ensuring a secure, peaceful space for civil society actors as stakeholders of sustainable development. I also execute JWF's global programs at various UN platforms, getting civil society members, our global partners, together with UN diplomats for the timely, effective, and gender-sensitive implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. So therefore, today I wanted to take this opportunity and share my remarks with you on the introduction of SDGs, the critical role that youth play for the implementation stages of this ambitious agenda. So let me share my screen. Throughout my talk, I will walk you through some of the websites and resources. Okay, I believe you do see my screen. If not, please let me know. So let's start by overviewing the Sustainable Development Goals. These 17 targets here that you see, and I will be sharing all my links with the directors of IYC. They can disseminate all these resources later on. But this is the official side of SDGs. So these 17 goals that you see on the screen with 169 targets is a transformational development agenda, including focus areas on social, economic, environmental advancement, targeting on many different levels. This agenda was signed by 193 UN member states across the world back in 2015, and it has 5 pillars of peace: people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnerships. So all these goals are constructed to foster and improve these fundamental norms and entities that you also see in the screen. And as we speak more of these goals, you will realize that all these targets are very much interdependent on one another, and achieving one without the other is really not possible. And when we think of United Nations, usually the first couple things that may come to our mind is that it usually refers to maybe trade agreements, resolutions on wars, peace negotiations, political science, international law. But SDGs have so much more to offer than these working areas. We have targets, as you see here, on climate action, which the former past session of IYC was focusing on: access to clean water, life below seas, oceans, on Earth. We have targets focusing on city management, waste management, clean energy, and so on. So United Nations and SDGs offer way more than only political science or international relations. And right after this cornerstone peace and development agenda was signed back in 2015, as I mentioned, with the targets deadline of 2030, everything that is spoken at United Nations, all offices, agencies, all the discussion is really based on the implementation of the SDGs. The discourse is turning around on different numbers of SDGs, sub-targets. So it's very important that we are compatible and knowledgeable of this global agenda to become global citizens with local priorities and actions, which my colleague, President of JWF, Mehmet Kılıç, will soon speak on as well. So when you have time, please do visit this website. It's a great resource. Underneath every single goal here, when you click on them, you will see sub-targets. There are so many reports here, infographics, very easy to read, very easy to understand. And you will also see latest events on any of these goals and updated progress reports, which I believe is very important. Targets and indicators are also here. A great resource where you can use in your academic studies, make references, visuals, or even in your professional reports. I do believe that this site will serve as a great source to all of our young colleagues listening to us. So let's walk through a very contemporary example on demonstrating how these 17 SDGs are very much interdependent on one another, as I mentioned earlier in my talk. So let's start with, in this example, let's take a look at climate change, how we combat climate crisis. And this is a particular area where youth activism is doing a great job raising awareness, a global momentum calling for action, urgent actions to be taken on different levels. So goal 13 we have is very much focused on taking actions against climate change. So in the regions where this problem is rising hardest, especially in the global south, women workers are more likely to have increasing hours of hard work in farms and agricultural fields, as well as girls as well, because reports indicating that in such patriarchal countries, in agricultural countries, men are more involved in trade section of selling these agricultural sectors. And here we have inequalities and decent work situations. Let's link 13 and goal number 1 and 2. So according to World Economic Forum, mothers and girls, young members of the households are usually last ones to eat a dinner, says World Economic Forum's last gathering. So they are the ones deprived of a good nutrition, because, as I mentioned, in these states where climate change is hitting the top levels and patriarchal societies, such situations boosts inequalities, and now we are targeting on goal number 1, 2, even 3, because malnutrition will eventually lead poor health of women, girls, and young members of those households. And one another institution, Malala Fund publication, also indicates that around the world where climate change is forcing girls out of school, now you see, as we have been working to combat goal number 13, now goal 4, right to access quality education, is also in action, because as this credible organization says, last year climate-related events prevented at least 4 million girls in lower and middle-income countries from completing their education. So this was a very brief example on how these goals are all interconnected with one another, and it's really not possible to fully, meaningfully achieve one goal without improving the others, working on others as well. So be present at such intergovernmental organizations, to raise awareness on your own experiences, how you have been combating such crises, be it environmental, conflict-related situations, and present your youth perspective on how successful solutions, policy makings must include young stakeholders so that these development progresses are inclusive and impactful. So let's move on with this notion of peace. Again, a question to ask. Sometimes when we think of peace, usually the first thing that comes to our mind is the absence of wars and armed conflicts. However, the world that we live in right now is so much more advanced than what it used to be. So absence of war no longer means peace. It's not enough. We need definitely more than that. And I really love sharing this diagram. This is from Institute for Economics and Peace. As I mentioned, I will be sharing the links. When I get a chance to address young colleagues, I make sure that I pull up this diagram, because this really works on a new notion to define peace, to reflect on fundamentals that we need to sustain peace and promote fundamental human rights for all in our modern, globalized, fast-moving modern day. So as this diagram shows, for positive peace, we need institutions, systems, where just like SDGs, these different 8 pillars you see on the screen are also working cohesively to leave no one behind and establish peaceful societies for everyone, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, political opinion, culture, gender, you name it. And the other reason why I wanted to pull up this diagram is that I really think that the International Youth Conference, your in-person and online presence as young advocates today, really focuses on 2 of the pillars already here: the free flow of information and high levels of of human capital, because throughout these 2 days, expert speakers, young colleagues, professionals from different walks of lives are speaking on ways to empower youth, sharing latest trends, opportunities, informing everybody here on the platform about technologies, which will surely increase, as I mentioned, human capital among youth members of our global society. So let's go back to SDGs, and we mentioned that these provide us a roadmap on creating and sustaining positive peace, and reflected on the 8 pillars of that new notion, new definition of peace as well. And dear participants, young colleagues, we only have 8 years left to achieve this ambitious agenda, and time is running very fast, as we all know. So and in addition to this fast forward modern day, we also now combating some new wars in different front lines after the COVID-19 pandemic, because it hit us all in New York, Athens, Paris, New Delhi, Melbourne. But surely youth and women in global south countries are reported to have been impacted on disproportionate levels. And I know that majority of young colleagues, professionals are listening to this conference, international platform, from many of the global south countries as well. And so these are some of the new challenges, economic, social, psychological obstacles that COVID-19 unfortunately introduced to our lives. But on the other hand, it really created something magical for our development community as well, which is online engagements. A new working tradition appeared, closing one very important gap, in particularly at the United Nations, the gap of participation levels from different countries. Because until the world was hit by COVID, the online participation means at United Nations were really at minimum levels, or maybe a better way to describe it, they were not really preferred, because in-person engagements were prioritized. But for youth-led NGOs from different parts of the world, for many women's rights delegations from different geographies, traveling to New York, attending such UN platforms, conferences, meetings, sessions, dialogue sessions with diplomats, high-level decision makers at United Nations was very, very challenging. And it is still, especially for refugees, for example, as they combat so many different legal traveling obstacles as well. And I have spent 9 years participating at such United Nations platforms, and I clearly witnessed since the last 2 years in particularly how the widespread online participation opportunities like the IYC provides us here today, this new phenomenon, Zoom, Skype, or the ones that we are live streaming right now, Facebook, YouTube, these technical means really close the gap of participation inequality, especially among the youth and women. So almost all UN platforms, and I will share a couple links coming up, they carry their engagements on hybrid means, and this is our new normal. There is no going back. So please do take advantage of these online opportunities, and do not hesitate to raise up your voice on whichever concern is dear to your heart, whichever passion is that you have in your agenda that you're following up. So in our day, there is a rising global movement of 1.8 billion young people calling for a greater attention to policy and financing their empowerment and well-being, youth and well-being. And a substantial majority of this young population is living in developing countries. So even in statistical terms, how can we ignore, this potential to change the world? Latest trends are set by youth. Youth entrepreneurs are leading social media platforms, creating new digital means to get our human rights messages across to different countries, creating a new world with innovative content in it. So I say this quite often, but the old saying that youth are the leaders of tomorrow is really past due. We all coexist today. So therefore, for the implementation of all these goals, we need youth, young advocates on the table as well. And very interestingly, as we see more young people involving meaningfully, participating meaningfully in these discussions at the United Nations or some other intergovernmental organizations as well, the diversity of topics brought to the attention of decision makers are also changing. Now, new trend topics are spoken and they're replacing so to say, cold, old-fashioned diplomatic structures. Now, the role of sports and youth participating in different sports are being spoken at UN to promote human rights for all. Now we speak the role of IT, Bitcoin, digital ways to support human rights defenders in different parts of the world where they live in states with limited capability to express their opinions. So we urgently need to increase this fresh, contemporary, inclusive perspective brought to the table by young partners and young professionals. So as I mentioned now, coming to the end of my talk, I would like to walk you through a couple of resources and I will conclude my remarks. As I mentioned, in many of different UN platforms, now we see that member states are nominating their youth representatives. They are keynotes at a climate conference, United Nations General Assembly, Commission on the Status of Women. I want to pull up Sofia Kiani's Twitter account to show you her profile. Maybe you would like to go ahead and follow her on different platforms too. So Sofia is a 20 years old young professional, indeed the youngest UN advisor to Secretary General Antonio Guterres, working on climate actions. Over the years, I clearly see many more number of young advocates coming as official youth representatives of different member states. So please, I highly encourage that you get in touch with your foreign affairs minister, your international relations departments in your local countries to ask for these opportunities. Have you become a part of this participation? ECOSOC Youth Forum is another annual venue where you get a great chance to participate. It's still going on indeed in New York with youth pouring into this platform from all around the world. And for the opening day of ECOSOC Youth Forum, I went to United Nations headquarters, and this is a recent picture from ECOSOC Youth Forum. To be honest, I have never seen ECOSOC chamber this field. I had to wait 15 minutes right outside the door for somebody to leave their seat, exit the room so that I can enter. The energy in the room was fascinating, but surely the equal participation was possible at this platform as well, because we have seen many speakers here in this room joining us to the discussion online in the screens. So you have an equal opportunity to participate at ECOSOC, for example, an annual forum. We recently concluded Commission on the Status of Women this last March, and NGO CSW, as I mentioned, I'll be sharing the links, but they have hosted more than 13,000 girls and women's advocates at this virtual platform from different parts of the world. So please create a profile here, get to know these advocates, reach out to the ones that you think you share a common working agenda. Till June, we will still have panels here. These 2 weeks, we had over 750 panel discussions. Please watch a couple of them and learn how the working methodology is going on. And next year, maybe you will have your youth-led panel here in CSW's online platform as well. 750 panels in 2 weeks. This is a great opportunity. Next, Department of Global Communication has one particular youth representative steering committee. Please do visit this website and see the profiles of these youth representatives, their achievements and how they got to these places. As I screen over, you will see many young colleagues from different parts of the world. I really like this platform because they have distinct venues of increasing youth attention, like youth news, youth events, and you even get a chance to submit your own opinion papers, essays, research papers. Please go ahead, read these opportunities, be knowledgeable of such intergovernmental platforms. One last opportunity. Secretary General's Envoy on Youth has a particular website, and every 2 years, UN Envoy on Youth Affairs selects 17 individuals to serve as pioneers of SDGs. Please, just like I mentioned for the Youth Steering Committee, look at these profiles, and I don't think they're very much different than your own background. So if these young people from I see Turkey, Nigeria is here, Kenya is here, European states are here, and many of these colleagues are leading their own local platforms. And lastly, I would very much appreciate if you can also visit our annual conference website, SDGs Conference in the Margins of UN General Assembly, as we also have very similar programs here, Pioneers in SDGs, where you have an opportunity to submit your civil society best practices here, and we overview your programs, projects with a diplomatic and human rights expert committee, analyzing your programs in 4 different criteria. And last year, as you will see here, we gave awards and recognition to many different projects and programs from USA, Israel, South Korea, Greece, Kenya, you name it. There are so many different programs, projects here led by youth advocates as well. So in this time given to me, I wanted to share these opportunities. As I mentioned, the links I will provide to my director colleagues, and I hope to remain in touch with everybody, and maybe we will engage more in the discussion session as well. Thank you so much, Shurabe.
Thank you very much, Shempre, for your intervention. That was amazing. I think, well, we're not only live, but the video and this session will stay in our Facebook and YouTube page. So this is not only important, and this will be key for our participants watching us right now, but in the future as well for everyone that want to go back here for what you have said and for all the resources that you have shared. Those are really key, vital, and important. This will set a lot of future initiatives and actions for our fellow youth, future change agents to have the opportunities and have the platforms there so that they can use them, right? Thank you very much. We will continue with Mehmet. Mehmet, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Shurabe, for your kind introduction. And also on behalf of the Journalists and Writers Foundation, I would like to thank the leadership, executive, the team, and partners of the International Youth Conference. And also, I want to thank all youth participants from all over the world. So we are a global community, and we are now more connected with the new technology tools. Shurabi, I think I will need your help to show my slides. We can go with the slide number 1. Thank you. So my colleague Jim Red talked about sustainable development goals and the role that youth plays in achieving these sustainable development goals. Definitely, youth empowerment is important, and youth has to be at the table to make decisions, to contribute with innovative ideas, different ways of achieving these goals. Now, I would like to talk about a different topic, which is global citizenship, as the world has become increasingly interconnected due to trade, cultural exchange, communication among people and countries globally. And also, we are living in a very interconnected and interdependent world where our choices and our actions really impact our communities and the people and the planet at the local, national, and global levels. And we are facing, many challenges: climate change, refugee issues, peace and security issues, and so many of them. So our actions and our choices really make a difference. But at the same time, I would like to take your attention to the cross-cultural communities and cities and states and nations that we're living in. So we are very much interconnected, and we have people from different cultural, religious, ethnic backgrounds. And our social spaces, likewise, such as schools, workplaces, organizations, universities, you name it. I mean, these have become very diverse and very multicultural. And recently, the COVID-19 also has changed our social life and our social spaces as well. And we have now different working habits that we work from home, and some companies are trying to get people back to in-person, working spaces. But now we are more connected, so we have people working from overseas, and so that requires a different mindset of global citizenship. So connections across cultures is very crucial component of global citizenship. And such, broadening one's horizons and stepping out of our own experience is very essential to develop global citizenship, or to develop a mindset of global citizenship. And one way to achieve this goal is to dive headfirst into global citizenship. But of course, like, what is global citizenship, and who is a global citizen, and how do we become global citizens? Now, let's look into the answers to these questions, as well as some of the ways in which you can expand your understanding of global citizenship. Of course, there is no one definition of global citizenship. So there are many different citizenship that you can look online, but one definition is that the most common global citizenship definition is the idea that all people have civic responsibilities to the world as a whole, rather than just their local communities or countries. So by expanding our personal horizons through global learning, we are able to affect change in a more meaningful sense on both a small and larger scale. We can go to the next slide. So young people need to develop an understanding of systems thinking, or we can call it a holistic approach, to be prepared for the future, because the future is undecided. The future is liquid, that we have to be prepared with a set of skills, knowledge, in order to be ready for the future, and also today as well. So for that, the young people have to understand the nature of globalization, what's happening, understanding the nature of globalization. And the other one is, we have to appreciate diversity of humanity, that we are more interconnected, that we are more interrelated to one another. And also, we have to recognize critical global challenges that my colleague Jemre has talked about. All these sustainable development goals are answers, or answers to these global challenges. And another thing is the collaboration, and collaboration with multiple stakeholders to deliver solutions. We cannot achieve these goals by ourselves, so we have to work in collaboration with different stakeholders in order to make a positive social change. But of course, to make a positive change, we have to be open for change, and that change starts with us. Now we can go to the next slide. Of course, we have different identities, right? We have our national citizenship on the one hand, and we have our global citizenship on the other hand. The national citizenship, as you know, it means membership in a sovereign state, which comes with full rights at the same time with some responsibilities. Likewise, global citizenship, it's a membership in a global community that values human rights, social justice, and sustainable development. Of course, sustainable, I mean, like global citizenship is not a title. It's not a title that we are getting. Rather, it's a mindset, how we perceive world, how we perceive things happening around us. So in an ever-changing digital world, the international community is getting closer and closer and closer. And you may ask to yourself, so what communities am I a part of? So who do I belong? And your answers could include your home, your school, your work, or your neighborhood. And you can expand it into the world community that strengthens the global citizenship. In these small communities, such as like your school, your home, your community, you might exchange ideas with friends or help out a coworker with a problem or help your friend at a school, at a university. But being a global citizen simply means having a willingness to do this with people from different nations, different cultural backgrounds. So it is the willingness to help others. And the global citizenship is more about being connected and understanding of cultures beyond your own. What does it mean to be a global citizen for you? It could start with something as simple as researching a new country or making with friends with an immigrant neighbor. So everybody has different understanding of being a global citizen. So how do I become a global citizenship? And it could also mean traveling abroad or contributing to community efforts to advance education, health, environmental, and conservation, and so forth. So working to solve our shared global challenges is very important. And this is to make a positive impact in most effective ways when it stems from the feeling of a global citizenship and being a member of an international community. So in order to achieve these global goals, okay, sustainable development goals are also called Global Goals 2030, that we have to achieve these goals by 2030. So we have to develop a kind of mindset of global citizenship. And of course, like many cultures, we have different values and principles. We can go to the next slide, I'm sorry, to the fourth slide. Okay, we have different values and principles, right? So on the one hand, we have the human rights, environmental protection, religious pluralism, gender equality, sustainable worldwide economic growth, poverty elevation, prevention of conflicts and countries and people, as Jimmy mentioned about, which is important, and also elimination of weapons of mass destruction, humanitarian assistance, and so many different values and principles that global citizens that we have to develop. And we can go to the next slide. So, talking about all these, values, roles, and responsibilities, and who is a global citizen. When you make the decision to become a global citizen, that means you have made the first step in the right direction towards expanding your global awareness. But of course, there are some things that we personally can do to create global citizenship in our lives. So, who is, again, a global citizen? We can go to the next one. A global citizen is someone who is aware of the wider world around us. So, what's happening around us? What are some of the problems? So, we have to feel responsible for the people and the planet. And we need to take action to make a positive social change. We need to respect and value diversity and cultural exchange. And we need to understand and deliver solutions to local and global challenges. And we need to consider sustainability as a way of life to promote SDGs. Sustainability is important. How do we sustain, all these goals that we achieve? And of course, once we do this, we have to be action oriented. So we have to take an action to make this world a better place for all, and we should not leave anyone behind. So this has to be a peaceful and inclusive agenda that we all have to work together. So who is a global citizen? A global citizen is someone who is aware of the world, responsible, and taking action on all these issues. But of course, there are pros and cons for global citizenship. We can go to the next one. There are some benefits, good things, and but of course there are some challenges as well. So as a leader, and I believe that you are all leaders of your community, and you are an agent of social change. You will tackle global challenges and deliver solutions to social, economic, environmental problems. There are so many problems, so you will be working on these. And at the same time, this IYC is an amazing opportunity, amazing platform to meet new people, exchange ideas, and build lasting friendships for a greater understanding. So we should not really miss these opportunities to get together, to meet and network with other people and exchange ideas. And another pros is to establish partnerships. And this is one of the goals of the SDGs, SDG goal number 17, partnerships for the SDGs. So which is important that we build partnerships with different organizations and different like-minded individuals to achieve these goals. And lastly, we have to be impact-oriented on ourselves and others. And there are different projects my colleague Cemre mentioned, Pioneers in SDGs, or other opportunities at the United Nations that we really have to take action. We have to really get out of our comfort zone to benefit from these opportunities. But of course, there are some cons as well. What are these cons? It's the hardship to tackle all these problems at once. I mean, these global problems are really, really difficult problems, and it is not easy to solve them. It takes time, dedication, courage, and partnership. And also, we know that everybody at the individual organizational level, we lack financial and human resources. And of course, it is not easy to inspire people. It's not easy to mobilize people to work together, to act together on a common goal. And of course, these are some of the challenges. Okay, with all these pros and cons, how can you become a global citizen? We can go to the next slide. Okay, for this, young people need to be flexible, creative, and proactive. We have to develop the 21st century skills to deliver solutions to global challenges. And we need to think critically. We have to ask the question why all the time. We have to communicate effectively, and we have to collaborate with multiple stakeholders. And we need to work well with teams and groups and make smart, innovative, and sustainable decisions to solve these problems. And another thing that is important is the lifelong learning. It is an important quality of young people to keep pace with new developments and trends in science and technology. The world is never staying still, right? Everything is changing, so we really have to keep pace with what's happening new, and it takes a lifelong learning. And there are 4 C's, okay? These are important skills. These are communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. So these are really important skills that young people have to develop to become agents of social change. Now let's go to to these global skills, which I would like to share a little bit in depth. Next slide, if you don't mind. All right, so this is a framework uh, made by Partnership for the 21st Century. And this framework talks about three different sets of skills. The first one is life and career skills. The other one is learning and innovation skills. And the third one is information, media, and technology skills. Next one, next slide. So let's talk about what are the life and career skills. So today's young people need to develop thinking skills, content knowledge, and social and emotional competencies to navigate complex life and environment and work environments. And what are these skills? These are flexibility and adaptability. So we have to be flexible, we have to adapt to new environments. We have to, initiatives and self-direction. So we have to know what we are doing, and that takes a lot of knowledge. And social and cross-cultural skills. It is really needed that we talked about. We have to learn about people from different cultures, religions, and ethnicities, because our social and work places are very diverse, very multicultural. So we have to be productive and accountable, and we have to keep others accountable as well. And we have to be responsible and leaders in our community. So these life and career skills are really important to become global citizens. Now let's go to the next slide to learn about learning and innovation skills. Okay, these are really what separates young people who are prepared. Next slide, if you can go, if you don't mind. Okay, so these are the skills that really separate young people who are prepared for increasingly complex and competitive life and work environments in today's world, and those who are not. Okay, these skills are creativity and innovation, critical thinking and problem solving, communication, and collaboration. So these four C's, these are really important skills that we need to develop to become global citizens and to deliver sustainable solutions to global goals. And the last one, the next slide, is information, media, and technology skills. Is today we live in a technology and media-driven environment that marked the access to abundance of information, rapid changes in technology tools, the ability to collaborate and make individual contributions on unprecedented scale. So these information literacy, media literacy, and ICT. So these three skills are really needed to become active users of the information, media, and technology. Okay, I would like to, go a little bit fast. So the next slide. All right, so if we want to become a global citizen, and what are the benefits? Let's talk about the benefits a little bit. So global citizenship has numerous benefits that extend beyond personal growth and development, and here are some of them. The first one is the increased cultural understanding. So which means that we develop an understanding towards people from different cultures and backgrounds. And the second one is improved communication skills, which really, we develop effective communication with people from diverse linguistic and cultural backgrounds. And this is really important in our personal and academic and career goals as well. And then the other one is enhanced problem-solving skills. Global citizenship really promotes critical thinking and problem-solving skills as individuals are exposed to complex global challenges, and that takes a lot of work and innovation. And then the other one is the greater career opportunities, as it has become very competitive. The world has become very competitive, and the workplaces are very competitive as well. And employers are increasingly value employees with a global perspective and intercultural competencies. So that makes the global citizenship as an asset in the job market. And then lastly, it's the personal growth and development, which is engaging with diverse perspectives and cultures that can broaden our worldview and understanding. So how do we become a global citizen? Young people have lots of ways to take action to make this world a better place. And as the JWF, we believe in a future where all young people play an active role in society. And we need to work together to create a world without poverty, hunger, inequalities in society. So we have developed lots of ways young people participate in the world around them and take action for change. So let's think globally, act local, and become global citizenship and citizens. And now I would like to share a few opportunities for you to take. We can go to the next slide, if you don't mind.
Just and if we can be concluding this intervention,
Sure.
these minutes.
Of course, yeah. These are the opportunities for young people, and we can share this, on the chat box. Thank you so much for listening and for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for sharing with us your insights on global citizenship. Now we will continue with our speakers in person there in San Francisco. I will give the word to Nilufer.
Hello, everyone.
Can you unmute? Wait a minute.
You're audible.
Um,
A moment.
can you guys hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fix this. Just one moment. We have some technical difficulty here.
We're just gonna ask for a moment. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm going to start sharing Mr. Mehmet's opportunities for youth in the chat so that our participants here can hear more and um, know more about these opportunities. Okay, so we will share it in the chat here so that you can learn and take these opportunities by yourselves. Okay, hoping that everything can be solved there in San Francisco. In any case, Mr. Mehmet, if you can, if you want to end your presentation. Oh, okay, we have. I share the links and everything. Thank you very much. Jessica, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, Nilofer, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Today, I'm going to be talking about coding creativity and collaboration, and basically our projects empower youth in Silicon Valley. First of all, I want to quickly talk about who I am. My name is Nilofer, and I'm a computer engineering student at UC Santa Cruz. I love playing chess. I have 2 cats, and I'm a member of YouthLink, and I'm originally from Turkey. And you might be wondering, what is YouthLink? YouthLink is a platform that is a result of our bi-weekly brainstorming meetings of our young women group in Pacifica Institute. We were discussing what we could do to empower young women, and YouthLink was a result of these meetings. We started it for our community only and expanded the platform to Europe. And after initiating the platform, we thought we could present it in United Nations CSW NGO 65, and that's how the journey of YouthLink started. And yeah, it is a basically bridge between continents where young Turkish immigrants who share similar backgrounds met. And after the bi-weekly meetings, continuing since 2020, we embraced YouthLink as our brainstorming and project initiative platform. So that's how we got engaged with each other really quickly and basically made these projects that we did this year quickly. And these are some recent events that we attended as YouthLink. And basically the past 2 years, we attended to CSW events and this year as well. We were in CSW during March. And so basically, I'm quickly going to talk about today's outline. First, I'm going to talk about tech industry a bit, and then we're going to move on to COVID and tech. And then I'm going to talk about projects, Python for girls and hackathon for girls. And then we're going to move on to the conclusion part, where I'm going to talk about our future events. Okay, let's start with technology. So first of all, I want to mention that all of the information mentioned in the slides are as a result of our research, and you can find the sources in the slides as well. So, did you know there were around 22 billion devices connected to the internet in 2019 alone? And the technology sector growth reports indicates that the number of internet connected devices would also hit 50 billion by 2030. And so I think this is going to happen quite soon because of how we got engaged with technology in the previous years. And the engagement is just keep increasing as well. And the internet and technology is basically everywhere right now, and it is dominating our daily lives as well. And when you think about it, you probably use internet in your daily lives, and maybe your screen time is about 3 hours. And even like my grandparents, who are like really old, about 75 years of age, they are using their phones and social media to interact with their friends, or just follow up news, or just like, even though they don't use social media, they're using the technology to set up alarms or reminders for themselves. And okay, let's talk about increasing business applications. So I'm specifically going to talk about the startups because I live in Silicon Valley, and it is the house of startups. Basically, a lot of startups are, getting made each day. And so as you can see from the graph above, there was like a slight increase in the previous years of business applications. So it's around 5.3 ish million. And last year, actually if I'm not wrong, 2022, it slightly decreased. But I'm pretty sure, I'm positive about that. The business applications are going to keep increasing as the technology gets better and better. And startups specifically have the tendency to grow up really fast, and they become like big corporations in other years. And this is like leading to technology change in technology in different ways as well. So each startups are basically there's like a possibility that they could bring us new technological advances. And I also want to quickly talk about computer science and students, so more of academic aspect. As you know, I am a computer engineering student, so it is basically my major as well. And based on the recent data and some surveys, approximately 58% of US students think that coding skills are important for their future career prospects. And 45% knows how to code, or they are currently learning how to code. So I think personally, these numbers are pretty high, and I'm most certainly sure that these numbers are going to increase in future, and it's going to lead to the tech industry growth in tech industry and technological developments in the future. Also, due to its popularity, computer science and engineering majors are also getting harder to get into and getting more competitive as well. So this is, I think, also increasing the chance that people are just there is a need for them to improve themselves weekly or maybe monthly basis. I know from personal perspective that I'm looking forward to learning more than one coding language so that I can get into the job in the tech industry better and be a better competitor. And this is the case for most engineers in Silicon Valley as well. The tech is just developing each day, and they are just they're in need to basically develop themselves as well and learn new information about tech. And okay, let's move on to COVID and tech. And I'm going to basically talk a little bit about how COVID led to digital transformation in the previous years. And so, as I'm not sure if you paid attention to the data I gave you, to the graph that I gave you, but 5 million businesses were started around 2020, and it just kept increasing. Although there was a slight decrease on the graph, the people are assuming that it's going to get higher in future years. And this shows how especially like COVID affected the technology and the business applications. So basically, a lot of new businesses started after COVID, and most of them are the startups, basically. And especially like with COVID and online learning, a lot of like non-digital things became more digital, and people got more engaged with technology, and they learned how to engage themselves with technology. For example, especially for younger generations and youth people, since we were doing online school mostly for like a year and a half, we were just basically forced to get into more technological world where we got more engaged with our peers through internet or social media. And also we attended our classes on Zoom or other platforms. And this really affected the youth. And it sort of pushed some of the younger generation to be more addicted towards technology. And this is like the bad side of technology, unfortunately, and also COVID's effect on technology. But on the good side, a lot of like new online platforms and like a lot of classes emerged as a result of COVID because everyone was forced to do everything online. So this also led to like a really good positive side for students because we were able to reach out to more content on internet, and basically a lot of classes were free throughout some platforms that were specifically for students to take some classes. And I think that was like a really positive side of COVID as well. And it also led a lot of people to learn computer science, like computer languages as well. Yep. So this is it about information part. So let's talk about the Python for Girls for a bit. These are our project, Python for Girls and Hackathon for Girls. So I'm going to talk about Python for Girls first. So basically, we gave Python classes for young girl in Bay Area, where a lot of girls were either high school students or college students who were interested in learning coding. Some of them were in STEM majors, some of them were not. They just took the class because they were interested in coding, or they just wanted to learn coding. And I want to say one of my friends said that to me, even though she's not a STEM major, she was like, I live in Silicon Valley. I feel like I need to learn how to code because it's like a skill that everyone should have. So that's why we wanted to offer this class, like an online free class for high school and college girls who were interested in taking this, so that we would also empower them to learn coding and get more engaged with technology as well. And also, our lecturer was basically a professor from Texas, and she also wanted to be a volunteer for this project as well, because she values the empowerment of girls and empowerment of young generation in coding and in technology. And yeah, that was Python for Girls. And I also want to talk about Hackathon for Girls. And it is our project that is still in planning stages as of now. And we're planning to hold this hackathon in the future for girls, to empower more girls to get engaged with technology, and also for them to engage with their peers as well, and sort of be in the environment of where everyone is coding and everyone is trying to learn new information throughout practices. And quickly, I want to talk about what is hackathon. You might not know what hackathon is, but hackathon is basically, it's just like an event where it brings people with technological backgrounds together for problem solving and developing new ideas. And hackathons can help participants to get like better at their IT skills or maybe like coding skills, and also meet with new people so that they make new connections and work with the same people in their fields. For example, in most of the colleges, you can find hackathons, and you can attend those hackathons to get more engaged with your peers, also get better at your skills as well. And it's also like really good for networking opportunities as well, because some of the people that you're going to meet in hackathons could be helpful for you in the future as well. Networking always matters. And for the hackathon, I quickly want to talk about our roadmap as well. So first of all, we started with the brainstorming discussion stage, and then once we decide on what we wanted to do with the hackathon, we started to set a date for the event, and we started looking for venue. And we constantly we are still trying to apply for sponsorships and grants for our hackathon, because we want to hold an event that's going to have a capacity of more than 50 people. So we want to have like a big event for girls where they can get engaged with their peers. And right now we're just constantly trying to apply for sponsorships and grants. And after this step, we sort of try to find mentors and lecturers for workshops. So hackathons can also have workshops, and people, if you don't know how to code, you can just go to a workshop and learn how to code in a day, which is also my background as well. I attended a hackathon, but I had no idea about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I learned it in a day during like a workshop, and then I applied those skills that I gained into a project that we did that day. So it also helped me to get into more computer engineering major as well, because I was like, you know what, I enjoyed doing this, so I should definitely pursue this career, right? Yeah, and then after that step, we're gonna start making flyers and posting our hackathon on DevPost and announce it via Girls Who Code, because for this event only, we want to have it for only girls, so that girls can engage with each other as well. And finally, we're going to have the event day, and we want to have this project annually. So we're going to move on to the planning stage for next year. And my last slide, I'm going to talk about future projects. So definitely, as I said, the hackathon is going to be annually. And we also, for our Python for Girls class, we want to focus on other programming languages, and we also wanted to have a great diversity in our projects. So we want to especially target different minority groups, and also we want it to be both like female and male students to get engaged with each other during like hackathons or the Python for Girls classes. So we definitely want to like make events or classes that brings more youth people together with like different minority groups or different backgrounds, so that they can meet with each other, make connections, but at the same time they just excel at their skills or like learn new information in our classes. So yeah. Thank you so much for attending at this event, and also for listening to me, both in person and online. Thank you so much. If you want to reach out to me, this is my LinkedIn and my Gmail as well. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now, just to pass on with our next speaker, Aisha, if you want to take the floor and have the final intervention, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I just have to say, Nilufer, that intervention was great. I mean, all the work with the hackathons, the future projects regarding your engineering major, it's amazing. I mean, digital and computational skills are really, really important for everybody, not only for the people that are going to something related to technology, but everybody in general, right? We are in a new generation, and we are seeing many things for our future today. So thank you very much for your inputs and sharing what you have learned and what you're currently learning. It's very much appreciated. So we okay, perfect. Jessica and Aisha, everything good?
Yeah, everything is fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, we had a technical issue, so sorry. So, our project, organized by Youth Link and Pacifica Institute, was building bridges to equality, providing online tutoring to Afghan refugee girls. Now, today I'm gonna present this project with you. Um, as one of the pioneers for women rights and human rights, Malala said, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." So, uh, following this saying, we tried to change something. So, my outline about this presentation is who am I, our roadmap and project her, and conclusion part. So who am I? I'm a young woman and student, uh, and also I'm an immigrant. Additionally, I'm a passionate women rights advocate, and I'm a youth league member, as I mentioned. So our roadmap about this for this project was defining the problem, suggesting solutions, then finding the priority audience that we are going to focus on, and taking action. First of all, we looked at um, our own experiences in academic level, especially, and also the major challenges as immigrants and uh, newcomers for this country, what we face, especially. We see some of the major challenges as language and educational barriers, cultural adjustment, discrimination, financial challenges. In addition to these, we see that there's a gender gap in education among the refugee students. Um, then we suggest our solution, which is online academic support by tutoring immigrant girls, by helping them their homeworks and in developing their language skills. Then we try to find the priority audience for our first session, for our first uh, tutoring part actually. We mainly focused on minority refugee groups such as Afghans, Ukrainians, Hispanic, and Black communities. Then we looked at the immigrant communities close to us and low income and girls especially. Um, when we looked at these communities, we realized that there's an ongoing crisis on Afghanistan. We saw some news on social media about education ban by Taliban, and we see some stories, especially real stories, um, about the current event, current situation. So there is a story about Zahra. Zahra was planning to graduate from university, but she couldn't graduate. So then we focused on Afghan community because of these reasons. As I mentioned, there is an ongoing crisis, refugee crisis, in 2025, 21, and there are political issues still going on, and there are restrictions on girls' education, and we had a close proximity to Sacramento Afghani community that we can reach them and help them. These are the numbers that we get from database from United Nations. There are 100,000 Afghani refugees settled in United States, and only in California there are 12,000 refugees. In Sacramento, the region, as I mentioned, there are 8,000 refugees, Afghani refugees. The last part of our process was taking action. What we did is we organized a group, Higher Minds Educational Ring. In short, we called it HER. It's an online tutoring program. I'm going to give details about this program. HER tutoring program is a free online one-on-one classes, and it has 8 week tutoring cycles. The first cycle has finished. So first of all, we found our volunteer tutors, especially from high schools and colleges. We shared our flyers, made announcements, and we share our questionnaires about subjects and availabilities. Then we reach out Afghani students by flyers, Facebook, and different kinds of social media platforms. Then we made questionnaires about what they need actually and how can we help. And Then we choose some of the major subjects that they need help. Afghani students uh, needed help in these subjects, such as science, math, coding, and English classes. So we matched our tutors and students by subjects and availability sheets. Then we trained our tutors from some of the websites again, such as Khan Academy quizzes. We used Google Jamboard and Zoom Whiteboard, and also Kahoot applications in order to get help from technology. We started our classes 3 months ago. It lasts 2 months, and we finished our first cycle. We did our sessions from Zoom, Discord, and WhatsApp group. Lastly, we did seminars for Afghani students from inspiring and accomplished women role models, especially immigrant role models, to show these girls, immigrant girls, that they can achieve something, they can reach their potential. Our future projects are still in process. We plan to do more training, tutoring cycles, reach more minority groups, as I mentioned in the slide, and we would like to expand our tutoring fields. My contact information can be seen in this slide. Thank you for listening. This was the information about our project we did. Thank you really much for listening.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us and sharing everything with us. It was an amazing presentation from everyone's part of. I want to thank Shambre, Mehmet, our partners, representing our partners here as the Journalist Writer Foundation. And also, I want to thank our panelists, Aisha and Niful. Thank you very much for being here. I also want to thank the audience. And just to wrap up this session, that's it. Nothing more to add. We thank you a lot for your time and your presentations. Your participations were great, and I know your inputs will serve and will be so much of help for our participants in the future and right now. Thank you very much.